Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Time to check in again with the crossover between Supreme Power and the Ultimate Universe that nobody asked for. Previously on Ultimate Power, Greg Land, Tracer Extraordinaire, drew two terrible issues featuring characters saying dumb, innocuous things, but were otherwise fine. Except, of course, for that whole tracing thing, which gave a lot of people the exact same face, and not in a, oh, they all have the same expression. No, he literally traced the same face multiple times. Ridiculous poses, and various characters being stupid or jerky for no good reason. The plot is centered around Ultimate Reed Richards deciding to send a bunch of interdimensional probes out into the multiverse in the hopes of finding a way to cure Ben Grimm of being the Thing. Unfortunately, one of those probes has somehow destroyed the world of Supreme Power, proving yet again that the only fantastic thing about Reed Richards is how fantastically he can screw up. So let's dig into Ultimate Power number 3 and see how exactly Reed managed to accomplish this.
Shock.
I'm reading from a trade, but since this episode is kind of short, might as well look at the cover, which feels off. It's your standard two groups rushing at each other thing that's cool despite how much it doesn't make sense, but the problem here is that Greg Land positioned everybody wrong. See, the idea is supposed to be a use of negative space, each side lined up evenly with a blank space in the center to draw your eyes towards the two teams. But here, they're already inches away from each other. Or in the case of Wolverine and Nighthawk, Eskimo kissing. I love how utterly ridiculous they look like that, especially with the traced drawing of Wolverine's wide open mouth. I bet he's screaming how he's gonna eat him or something. After a recap page explaining what's come until now in the Ultimate Universe, we open in the White House in the Supreme Power universe. They keep the appearance of the president hidden to try to keep the story from being dated, but screw it, it's a completely separate universe from ours. Just make it be some dude. Hell, follow the Ultimate Universe's example with Samuel L. Jackson's Nick Fury and make it Morgan Freeman or someone. Speaking of actors, the president is complaining about an actor and his wife in the Lincoln bedroom. Okay, no more actor sleepovers. They're never interested in gossiping about boys with me. I don't care how much they gave to who. Yes, sir. In the Supreme Power universe, Oscar award-winning actor and director Tommy Wiseau can buy or sell any politician he pleases. This is the White House, for heaven's sake. I'm supposed to be the one to defame this place, not some actor. The Secret Service quickly wakes him up and drags him to the safe house, since there's some kind of biomass surrounding the White House, growing tendrils over the front of it. In fact, a pullback reveals that the biomass is all over DC, with several buildings on fire too. We see Hyperion and Power Princess, the Supreme Power equivalents of Superman and Wonder Woman, flying around and surveying the carnage, but something seems up with Hyperion, who's sweating heavily. Are you okay? Something's wrong! Why do I have to pee right now? I did it before we left! And just as another highlight of how poorly constructed this book is, you remember Marvel number 3 and the bizarre choice to shove all of the script and dialogue into the sides of the page? Well, this is better than that, since they actually bothered to put them in caption boxes, but it's still a terrible wall of text that doesn't really say much of anything. As I've said, some creators are capable of pulling this off, but in this case, it's just panic talk by the president, coupled with exposition that should be coming from, you know, the heroes, and not somebody whose face we can never ever show. The panels are just showing poorly drawn images of the Squadron Supreme engaging the biomass in battle or rescuing people. Enjoy Power Princess here with her stick figure legs while this guy down here practices his yawning. I mean, this is amateur hour right here, crowding the pages with unnecessary text. This is how not to do exposition, kids. Hell, it'd be better if what they were saying had anything at all to do with what we're actually seeing on the page, but it's not. You could shove in Tim Drake's speech about the history of marijuana into this, and it'd work just as well. The president wants to know what the hell these things are, but naturally nobody knows right now. They're not just in DC either. They're sprouting up all over the world, and in America, a good chunk of the eastern seaboard is being overrun by them. Sir, you need to call for a full-scale evacuation. Of the entire eastern seaboard? And where should I put everyone? Your house? Honey, we're having guests over for a few days. We need to order some pizza. A lot of pizza. Yeah, I'll start getting orders from everyone, and I'll call you back. Oh, hey, look! On this page, the Scarlet Witch is running in the crowd. Maybe she can help it. Oh, wait, never mind. That is just another face that Greg Land has already used in the last issue. Anywho, the biomass is either altering the atmosphere to suit its own needs, or its very presence is warping the environment. Oxygen content and barometric pressure are changing rapidly. The president starts panicking in the caption boxes, but then he's much calmer when we actually cut to the Situation Room. Well, actually, it's not the Situation Room, since in the caption boxes, the president was talking about getting the Joint Chiefs together if this is some kind of invasion or biological attack, and I'd have to imagine that they'd be here by now if that was the case. I joked a lot last week about the government, but even I don't think they're that useless that they wouldn't be here by now, given all this.
You're incapable of that level of incompetence, Mr. LaForge.
I also can't imagine the Situation Room being this dark. I'm just saying, the last thing you need in a crisis is to accidentally trip over your own chair because a light bulb burned out. So yeah, they're just in some random room full of television monitors that are just depicting footage of what's going on outside. Right before the biomass showed up, there was some kind of energy surge, which prompts them to contact Hyperion and tell him to get to New York. Speaking of, Hyperion is trying to figure out some of the problems he's having with combating the biomass. Why can't I pick them up? I don't know. Why can't I lift them and throw them into the sea? I don't know. Do you even lift, bro? They have no weight, no substance. It's like trying to fight fat-free yogurt. They suspect that the biomass actually comes from a different plane of existence and that the energy surge specifically occurred in New York. Whatever caused that surge is somewhere in the city, and Hyperion needs to find it. He locates it, but there's some kind of strange radiation emitting from it that's causing him pain. However, he finally locates it and manages to rip it out of the biomass. In this panel that was not only reused from the last time, but also is just an unfortunate choice to use, since it makes it look like biomass is gonna drip into Hyperion's mouth. Ew. But yeah, the thing he locates is, of course, Reed Richards' probe device from the first issue. Taking it to a lab, they analyze it and discover it's broadcasting information. A scan by the hero Spectrum activates a holographic recording of Reed. My name is Reed Richards, and I am broadcasting this message in colloquial English, a popular language on the planet Earth in my home dimension. Well, it's popular now, but just you wait. Swahili's gonna take the lead any day now. Your scanners or probing devices triggered this message, and my message to you is one of peace. The peaceful biomass is converting oxygen and your environment into something humans can't survive in the name of love and friendship. This data retrieval sensor is just that, and in no way a weapon or an act of hostility of any kind. That being said, I apologize in advance if any of you stood too close to the probe because, hoo boy, you're sterile now. I am part of a group of superpowered adventurers and scientists working towards a goal of peace and technological achievement. All the data recovered from your dimension is being used for the grand idea of scientific advancement. What he means is that they're actually inserting spyware into their dimension for targeted marketing purposes. And if you have the technology to respond to this message, I will gladly share my research with you as a gesture of good faith. And if you object to what I'm doing, well, I'll just release your search histories for everyone to see. Yes, even you, Carl. I know what you did. Those assembled are naturally a bit pissed off that some 18-year-old screwing around with interdimensional travel has caused a massive disaster for their world that, as far as I can tell, is still happening for them. What's worse, the technology of the probe is so advanced they're not sure how to reverse the damage that's been done. Hyperion says that they need to bring Reed to their universe to fix it. This is in spite of the fact that they just admitted they didn't even know that other dimensions existed before this, so how the hell they have the technology to travel to another universe is not explained. But Hyperion figures that since they have superpowered individuals on their Earth, they should send in the full squadron to deal with any problems they might encounter along the way. Good idea, Hyperion. Send the entirety of the superpowered beings at your disposal to another dimension against a technologically superior force with unknown capabilities, while there are still thousands, if not millions, of people who need help. Brilliant strategy!
You magnificent bastard, I read your book!
And cut back to where we left off at the end of issue 2, only everyone's posing, including the Wasp here, who is apparently lounging around in the air near Wolverine's claws. And instead of talking like they were before, they're all ready to throw down yet again. Hyperion is now screaming his head off about putting Reed Richards on trial for crimes against humanity, even though he was in the meeting when they discovered that this was all a terrible, idiotic accident. Oh, and despite the fact that in the last issue, Hyperion said that Reed destroyed their world, we know that is not true at all, and this issue has him instead saying he put his world in danger.
Great continuity!
And yet you'd think they'd have legitimately great continuity, what with Greg Land tracing the same images over and over and over again, thus ensuring that everything looks consistent. Reed surrenders and says he'll go with them while everyone else is asking what the hell he did. This is yet again a reason why I actually like this version. He knew what he did was wrong and he's taking responsibility for it. However, I now know what happened after a lot of these events. Being unfamiliar with the majority of the Ultimate Universe, I got told by a lot of people that Ultimate Reed Richards eventually went crazy and became a supervillain called The Maker, since, let's face it, it's a superhero comic with a likable character. We've got to grind that humanity and compassion down without any plans for a redemption arc. No. How dare we like someone who isn't a colossal asshole? Oh, and get this, apparently one of the reasons why he went crazy is because Sue Storm rejected his marriage proposal. Well, I mean, they couldn't let Mr. Fantastic be married. It might artificially age the guy whose most well-known look is having gray hair on the sides of his head. Sue refuses to let Reed go with them, even after he admits that this is his fault, which results in Hyperion yelling, "Tom!" which causes the force field to destabilize. At least that's what I presume is what he's doing. I'm sure the intent was that he hit it, but there were no motion lines, and I don't know why he's suddenly yelling at the top of his lungs in this panel. Greg Land's artwork is what happens when you make a comic entirely composed of videos paused right in the middle of someone talking. The other heroes prepare to rush the squadron, but Reed once again tells them to calm down, since he is responsible for this, and he admits to Nick Fury that he was right about pulling this crap. And so the squadron departs in a rainbow, much to Sue's horror. She then goes from those emotions to pouty-lipped snarling at the other heroes for not stopping him. You people just stood there! They stood there because I told them to. And I told them to because we're not having a superpower battle of that magnitude in the heart of New York City on a weekday.
Too bad it's Sunday. Those buildings would have been filled up tomorrow.
Still, despite Reed's idiocy, Fury plans on putting together a rescue team. The Fantastic Four, of course, volunteer, but he says not all of them will be coming. Then this traced picture of Captain America asks what the plan is. Yeah, Greg used that same image on the cover of the first issue. Must be really easy to get comics out on time when the majority of your job involves hitting Control-C and Control-V. And so our comic ends with Nick Fury raising a big-ass gun and saying he's working on it. This is my thinking gun. This comic sucks, but mainly because it's technically inept. Story-wise, the biggest flaw here is in pacing. We're on the third issue of this crossover event comic that has repercussions down the line, a full third of the way through it, and not much has happened. Reed Richards screwed up, Squadron Supreme and Marvel heroes fight each other. That's all that's really happened. It's taking its sweet time, but it's not using that time effectively. In fact, despite it moving at a snail's pace, a bunch of exposition and unnecessary speculation are crammed into 2 pages despite the reader already knowing what's going on. The stuff inconsequential characters are discussing is not interesting enough in its own right. And then the art is so terrible in its repetition and lack of cohesion that it just makes the whole thing feel like a waste of time. Next time, we continue our celebration of Star Trek's 50th anniversary with another issue of the early days of the Next Generation. Oh, and the cover is a complete lie, and you could have swapped it out with the previous issue's cover, since there's no fighting between the groups in this issue.